fast forward, we ruled it out. But midway through that process, as we were consulting and meeting with some of the stakeholders on Partis Row, the gardeners and others, they wanted us to reconsider the William route. So we worked with park staff, we looked at whether or not this was a feasible option, and so City Council and park staff directed us to continue working on this and look into the William route in more detail. When we did the open house, we also did a public opinion survey, and we had what kind of a nightmare solution, a nightmare scenario for transportation planners, is that Malkin, National, and these previously considered options were split roughly in thirds. So no clear preference at all on what is a preferred route. Yeah. So then in 2017, as we were still working on the Falls Creek Flats Area Plan, we started looking into this and started doing some of that analysis, and we recognized that it would take more time, which is why we're here doing this community panel. We needed that time to do more park analysis and look at all these route options, and so that we could explore them today and in the weeks to come. So the William route would again connect to the west to the Pacific Boulevard, the new replacement viaduct street network, and through New St. Paul's Hospital on that same route again, along the north edge of Trillium Park, where the fields are, then continue along the Malkin Street right away. It's kind of confusing because it's called William, but it continues on Malkin. And where it splits is just east of Hawks, which is right between the Strathcona Community Gardens and Strathcona Park. And instead of continuing south on Malkin, it would then run through the park to Raymer Ave, just east of Strathcona Park. And from there, the overpass would start, and it would ramp up, cross over Glen Drive, the rail tracks. At this area, it's only 4 tracks wide. Then pass over Vernon Drive, and also tee into Clark at William Street. So again, traffic would not be able to continue east into the Granby Woodland community on William. Again, a detailed map of land impacts in your resource guide. But the key benefits and challenges that I'll explain. One is we looked at this because we heard there was a desire to address those impacts to Cottonwood Gardens and Partis Row businesses in this constrained area. So avoid it entirely, route the road a little further to the north through the south edge of Strathcona Park and meet up with Raymer to the east. So it doesn't entirely eliminate impacts because we still have to look at access on the west side. So it generally minimizes it, and then how some of those impacts may play out, those are a further design conversation if we wanted to explore William in further detail. The other benefits of William is that it allows us to downgrade prior again. It also creates a reliable and connected street network. It does have a relatively balanced spacing between Hastings to the north and Terminal to the south. It's also closer to Strathcona community, which means that more people are able to access the William within a 5-minute walk and access transit. It's also a little bit shorter of a structure than Malkin and National because it does cross the tracks a little further north where the yards are just kind of splitting and expanding. Of course, on William, there's also impacts to some of the local industrial businesses, both on Partis Row west of Chess, because that route still runs on Malkin, but also east of the tracks and east of Raymer on William Street. Now, the key challenge of William is that there are significant impacts to Strathcona Park. You'll hear more about this from park staff, but essentially it will fragment the park. There is some loss of parkland. Within that parkland, there's amenities that would be impacted. The new size and shape of Strathcona Park And if there are mitigation opportunities to swap land or close hawks, that also changes that configuration. So that doesn't mean that those same amenities could just be relocated within that area. It impacts the flexibility of that park space. There's also loss of trees and habitat, and you'll hear more about that as well on the Malcolm route and some of the other ones, so on another day. Those are the highlights of the William route.